as I did before, I'm going to ask each of the panelists to take a couple of minutes and talk about their current activities in licensing in India, and then we'll pick up the discussion from there. So, Sanjeev, why don't you start?
Hello. Welcome, everybody. And it's been a privilege to be here and share what we are doing and also discuss various developments and evolution in the licensing world in India.
I meant Vishal, sorry.
Thanks, Martin. Okay, I'll just give you a brief snapshot in terms of what I have been doing. Currently, I am building the business for Chef Sanjeev Kapoor in the licensing space. Chef Sanjeev Kapoor, a brief introduction. He's the most celebrated face of Indian cuisine in India and world over. What we are trying to achieve is developing things beyond the content. So we run a TV channel as an organization called Food, and apart from that, we have a licensing business in consumer products. The most popular licensing business in the consumer products which Chef Kapoor built in earlier days were Wonder Chef, wherein we are right now valued at 300 crores in appliances. We come in the top 5 appliances company. And apart from that, we have a very strong content business. We do publishing business. We have a YouTube channel apart from the TV channel. And we have various other verticals and services also. We run restaurants in the name of Yellow Chili, Saravi, Sanjeev Kapoor Signature. That's a global business with major presence in India and Middle East and Canada. So I've given you a brief perspective. I won't take much of your time and hand it over to Anurag. Thank you.
Hi. Actually, the company name is Rovio. So it's a Finnish word, so it's a difficult, which means a bonfire, and the brand is the Angry Birds, what we have. We are the world's largest downloaded entertainment brand on mobile. So everybody's been talking about the fourth screen, that how do you capture the fourth screen. So that's from where we started the journey, and that's where we are. And we started as a mobile gaming company and became an entertainment company. We have more than 3 billion downloads of the brand on mobile. Well, there are 1.7 billion smartphones in the world. So it's a good journey in terms of an achievement, but there are 7 billion people to actually cater to on this planet. So a lot of work needs to be done. And then we came up with the Toons TV, which has done in less than 2 years something like 2 billion views. And now we are coming up with the Angry Birds movie in May 2016. So it's like we are completing the journey from the smallest screen going to the biggest screen. And our endeavor is always to delight the consumers, and that's what we work towards doing.
So we at the NBA are a sports company. We have one of the world's biggest sports leagues. And licensing and merchandising, whether it's in content or whether it's in on-court and off-court product, is a critical part of our fan and consumer experience. So when we look at doing merchandise partners, we have over 300 merchandise partners globally, or when we look at it in India, it's not just about, and it's slightly different. It's not a business in itself which differentiates itself. It's part of our consumer and fan experience. So whatever we do in our merchandise, whether it's on-court, off-court, and we've got multiple partnerships in India, in our e-commerce store with Jabong, with Samsonite, with New Horizon, Adidas, 2K, and a whole lot of people. The idea is always that we try to use our licensing as an important part of our fan journey to make sure that the consumer experience and our fans who get a chance to actually feel a part of the NBA in their homes through our products. And that's really what our merchandising is about.
This is sort of a chicken and egg question. Can the licensing come before the brand building? I know, the NBA has been, one of the major goals is to build basketball in general in India. Which has to come first? Do you have to build basketball first, or can you do the licensing which helps build the basketball?
Yeah, so I think for us to be able to actually, it's almost simultaneous in two formats because we've got on-court and off-court products. So the on-court component is largely linked to the game, right? So it's jerseys, it's shoes. So that requires the game of basketball to be an integral part. And you know, we are seeing a lot of growth, especially in tier 2 towns, for the game of basketball, and that's where that's growing. The off-court part is actually about aspirational. It's about lifestyle. It's our icon. Our players are actually fashion icons. So I'll give you an example. If you look at in Korea, our brand itself, the NBA and our games, aren't a top 10 TV sport. We don't have a large fan base right there for our on-court product, our games. But we have 101 NBA stores in Korea. And we are one of the largest lifestyle product distributed in physical stores in Korea through a partner, MK Trends. And the reason behind that is that they came to us, and this is all in 3 years. They came to us 3 years ago and said that the NBA has got all these brands, great colors, lifestyle, there's so much off-the-court stuff, which has aspirational characteristics to it. So let's build this together. And we actually did this, and in 3 years, we've got 101 stores there. We're growing immensely, almost double every year. So that's it's kind of a modified strategy for each of these.
Okay. I mean, because, you know, one of the, if you look at the description of this session, we're talking about the promotional side of licensing for Rovio. You know, yes, you have the movie coming out next year. And I saw a clip during the London show last week. Where does licensing fit into, first of all, where does licensing fit into Rovio overall as part of the business? I mean, there are lots of different revenue streams. So where does licensing fit in for Rovio overall? And where does licensing fit in for promoting Angry Birds here in India? How do the various businesses work together?
So actually what I will talk about is like how the company started. It was like primarily a gaming company, and when it started, people started to move. I mean, the story goes from the founders when they were traveling in Europe and US. They had some sort of a plushies, you know, walking in the hand, and people were like, hey, what are these? We know these characters really well. And people then created it a brand. It was the fans which make this as a brand, and then the licensing started to happen. People wanted to wear this brand, people wanted to play with this brand, people wanted that this brand could be there in every aspect of their life because it's a very emotional, the brand has got a lot of emotion around it. So as Martin is talking about, I mean, we are coming up with the movie, we unveiled the trailer a month back, it's got some 20 million views in less than a month. So what's happening is like, it is becoming a very integral part for us. It's like after gaming, after the content, it is the second biggest revenue stream for us. And what's happening is like, as Yannick was talking, it's a very interesting thing for us. We were actually earlier essentially a smartphone brand. And if you look at India as well, India is starting to see the smartphone explosion now. But the brand is something which had a recall. Today also, it's like roughly around 15% of the people in India, of all the mobile population, say 20% on a higher side, have a smartphone, so they connect with us. But the brand has got a recall of more than 90% in the market. So it's like, you know, people, before they could experience the brand on the mobile, people started connecting with the brand. Mm-hmm. So that's a different journey altogether happens. It's like the fans which made this a brand which could be licensed. And it's like, as we're talking about the India market and the region around it, it is becoming a very important because from multiple aspects. The smartphone explosion is happening, so we are reaching to more people over there. People have already, as I was talking about, it's like people want to associate with the brand more, and that's how it's happening, not just from the products per se, but also other brands per se. Like we did a partnership with NBA on a global level. We created a game, the NBA games season around it. And of course, the movie coming up, we are looking at doing the movie in the vernacular languages as well. I mean, the endeavor is to do it in Hindi, Telugu, and Tamil as well.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, one of the points that's been made a couple times today is how dynamic the business is, and you never know where the properties are going to come from. While the NBA has been there for a while, you have a smartphone-based brand, and 10 years ago, there were no such thing as smartphone games. 10 years ago, I don't think there were such things as celebrity chefs. So I think that what we have here is illustration of it's important for anybody approaching the licensing business to not just thinking about what's there today, but also figuring out where the market is going. Vishal, when Sanjeev Kapoor got into the licensing business, what was the vision? Was it just about the money? Was it, what was the vision of what you were trying to build?
Okay, before answering that question, I will give you a brief background in terms of Chef Sanjeev Kapoor as a person, because how he has evolved as a professional, I think that journey is responsible for building this. So Chef Sanjeev Kapoor was very unconventional in his ways, and he's responsible for getting, typically called bawarchi in the local language here, Mountain, to making them chefs and bring self-esteem and a status to chefs. So he's the one who has made chefs step out of the cooking zone and interact with customers. That was a cultural change, and the way the entire hospitality industry grew, he was seen as the icon. He's the first in his category. So like a lot of time when you look at martial arts, so we think of Bruce Lee. So he's like, when we think of food in India, I think he's the most recalled name. So from there, when he started, he moved out of restaurant and he did a television show quite early in his life. It ran for 17 odd years, and he was the chef which connected through the television channel, those days was Z, into several million households who were watching television. So he went through television into people's lives, and he built that strong emotional bond with the housewives, which determine the purchase and is the target audience. And he did was he was primarily teaching cooking, because cooking is considered very important, and unlike the culture now, you can get food and ready-made food, but those days cooking good food, and still festivities and occasion-wise, the Indian culture, food is very important. We discuss food when we go to weddings. We discuss food most of the time. When we are traveling also, because our the spice blends and everything is very different as compared to the Western world. So he was teaching people to cook. Now, while teaching people to cook, his brand and his emotional connectivity built, and he started doing that through various other ways. So he thought of culinary studio, but then culinary studio wasn't the right environment to launch. So he started restaurants, and after starting restaurants, as things got built up, we did publishing, books. So he sold 200 titles, and he is the largest selling publishing in the category of cookbooks today. And then we started, as the digital age came in, and we have a YouTube channel, and he's been awarded top chef by Google. Mm-hmm. He has got 4.5 million fans, and that's a direct. So one tweet of his, it's a very, and he constantly engages. So what we did as we built brand licensing, we classified the categories. So there was content, products, and services. So within content, we started and he's the first chef in the world to start a television channel based on food. So within content, products and services, so that's how structure is. Within content, we have a television channel, and we run digital, YouTube channel also, sorry. Within product, we have food and non-food products. So non-food products is more houseware products. We are one of the leading brands in the kitchen appliances, which is Wonder Chef, which has been Sanjeev Kapoor's Wonder Chef. And the reason we use Sanjeev Kapoor's Wonder Chef, because those days if I use the name Sanjeev Kapoor where IPR laws and piracy could have happened, then there could be multiple names Sanjeev Kapoor which would have come. So we use, but today the market has evolved. We're using the name Sanjeev Kapoor, in which we are developing houseware products. Services, we have restaurant business and culinary studio, which we are building right now. So that's how more or less the structure is. And one of the models that we have taken on the global platform is the services business, which is the restaurants. We operate 67 restaurants across the continent. So we have in Canada, Middle East, we are pretty strong. In Abu Dhabi, we are probably rated as one of the top 5. So that's been the success.
Okay.
Thank you.